Hey everyone, it's Jason. For today's video, we're gonna unbox and look at a couple of different Zombicide upgrade kits. I probably went through these in some other videos, maybe related to the specific genre of Zombicide, but since I have a few different ones, I kind of just wanted to put them all in like one little video. And obviously, there's other 3D components or upgrades that I don't have. So if I get more of them, maybe I'll either do another big video or I'll just do like a part 2. So first thing I want to go over are these two that were came out for Zombicide Invaders, which is the space sci-fi fantasy one. And I want to start with these because technically these could really be used for every single game. So they're great upgrades for the game if you don't care sometimes about aesthetic. They'll definitely work. I think if you can pick them up cheaper. I know the 3D doors, they did make some for the other different versions of the game. I believe they made some for Classic, and I think they made some for Black Plague Fantasy as well. Alternatively, I know that Massive Darkness also has doors that might work as well, but they're more kind of like demonic looking. But maybe I'll grab them and do a quick comparison of those as well. But just the idea of 3D doors, and we'll take actually a look to see what they do. But first thing I do want to look at is the deck holder set. Because I think even though this says Zombicide Invaders, it says 2 yellow Xeno decks and 2 blue equipment decks. They can literally be used for anything. It's just the colors are supposed to match the back of the cards. Where some of the newer games have red cards or blue cards, different things like that. So what they are is, I'm going to zoom my camera down a bit, is you get a little holder like this, which has a connector, a holder piece here, and then 2 on the other side. And then they just snap right in there. So they're easy to take apart and restore somewhere else. So if you have a box, you don't have to keep them always full. And then the idea of having 2 different sizes here is because it accommodates your miniature cards, but it'll accommodate sleeved and unsleeved. So I do get 2 blue ones. And then I do have some of the cards here sleeved and unsleeved to kind of show them off. And then it's kind of popped up. So now these aren't going to stay like 1000% perfect because they're meant to be assembled and disassembled. Let's see if I can get a little less glare on there. So there we go. I have like Classic First Edition Zombicide here, unsleeved, so I have it in the further one, but it holds them in there a little bit nicer. One's meant for your main deck, one's meant for the discard pile. Here I have a bunch of spawn cards for Zombicide Invader. So what's nice here is, if I have this stack of sleeved cards, they tend to get kind of slippery once you start getting them higher. Oh, I gotta grab a card. Oops, I knocked my entire pile over. You know, it's kind of a pain, but if you want your cards sleeved, just to help them out, this is a really great thing. Now, if you're worried about these popping out, and you don't have a worry about, and you have a spot to put them, you can always glue them in. You're going to sleeve your cards, just put them on the outside, so on. But now look, I can grab these, they're not going to fall out. I can easily pick up a card. Oh, I got a spoiler. Next one, I got another spoiler, because I didn't obviously shuffle these at all. But it makes it really easy to do it. And then if, like, this is my discard pile, you can start dropping them in there. Very easy. Even when you get down to the bottom here, it's not terribly hard to get them out because you have these corners on the side, so you can either, like, flip them up like that, you know, or even, like, they put the little spots in here, so I can even push there to kind of pick these up that way. So they made these designed very well. And as I said, they do also hold unsleeved cards if you don't care about sleeving your cards. Work the same way. Now, obviously, if I have this stack out here, they're a little bit easier to grab without them tipping over. But there we go. So you can get these. I might actually try and see. I bought one. They're on sale. I'm like, oh, just test to see if I really like these. I do. So I'm definitely going to try and see if I can get more of these. Granted, I'll probably take them apart. In each Zombicide game I play, I can have a different one. Just like, I can have like just sitting in a box, and I'll throw them back in this box and just have them ready to go to pull out for whatever game. But I might want more because some of the newer card sets also include like second edition also has the extra decks of weapons, or they have like the a classic even had like the pimp weapons and stuff. So you'd have some decks for some of the other cards. The campaign weapons would be kind of nice for second edition. Or playing something like maybe like Massive Darkness. I might have more than 2 decks of these. So I might pick up some extras of these just to have them ready to go. If I can find them cheap enough, I might buy enough just to put one in each set. So if I play a different version, I can just grab one. But yeah, I think these are really cool. Again, if you don't mind the color, I think they did make ones for, I want to say I think they made some for Black Plague, which might be some different colors. But I don't think color really makes that big of a difference. You know, because you need to look at the back of the card and tell what you're supposed to be grabbing. So that was the deck holder sets. All right, so I want to go over that. Then the next thing we wanted to look at were the doors. So what I'm gonna do is I just grabbed, zoom back out here. We just grabbed. I'm just gonna use the Invader board because they're designed to be with Invader. But if I put 2 of these tiles together. And I have some of my miniatures in here. And then we have our different door tiles. So obviously there's going to work. There's a closed door. There's a broken open door. And I can put them on my various spots to show where I have doors at. Now, you can look at the board. You can tell where they are because they stand up a bit. But what is fantastic is they have these 3D doors you can buy for this game. And again, you could use these for any Zombicide, although like being they kind of look like sci-fi doors, they might not be aesthetic. But here I have a white door. I can replace my white door. Replace my pink door. I have a green door here. We'll replace that one. And I have a generic gray door. So they have a bunch of those. So you actually get 5 of the gray doors. So that works out really well with most games. You probably aren't going to have more than 5 general doors. And then they have, because this is why I like the Invader ones, is because there were so many different colors. For the options, I have white, pink, green, purple, yellow, and blue. So I have a bunch of different colors, so you can actually have a lot more color-coded things. If you start mixing some of your Zombicide components to make your custom games, you gain more things. But now, being these are on here, you can really see right where the doors are. Again, like laying next to a token here, I can tell there's a token on the board, but because it's trying to be thematic, it kind of looks the same way. Sometimes it's better to put it out into the hallway, because the hallways are a little bit more blank, which is fine as well. I could flip this direction as well. It doesn't matter. You do have that little stand, so a guy can stand on there too. Is also neat, so they're not taking up extra space. But then even the other cool feature is they open. Okay, they do. Oh yeah, sorry, they fold down this direction. So that way you can tell if a door has been opened or not. And then since, in the way these work is because they fold down, which is kind of interesting, versus sliding open. But the Invader has a whole component about opening and closing doors. So that's why they want doors that can open and close versus regular and busted. But even still, if you're playing this with Classic or Fantasy, I get these doors wouldn't really make sense in Fantasy, and you could argue about them in Classic. But it's like, oh, I broke down this door. Now, every time I look over here, I'm going to know that there's a door there. I'm going to know that door is open. And then, being like this, they can still have guys stand on there if you need to for the aesthetic reasons. So, that is actually a really cool little idea. It just helps. Now, I don't think every single thing in the game needs to be 3D, because otherwise your board would start to get way too cluttered. It'd be hard to see over things, but I think these do add a decent amount so you can easily tell where doors are. You can tell if they're open or closed. Alright, so I do want to just grab the ones from Massive Darkness or Massive Darkness 2. Each of them had some. Some are, I think, Massive Darkness were a little bit more generic fantasy, so they might work better than, like, Black Plague. But these, again, now, they're not going to maybe aesthetically work, but they're the same size. Essentially, they're going to work very well. Look on the board. And then these open left to right like regular doors, but they also have a couple of different patterns. Which also make them a little bit more neat as well. Again, these could work very well with fantasy, the fantasy setting. Like you even have like some demonic doors because Massive Darkness has a Heaven and Hell storyline to it. But yeah, we got 3 different styles there of doors. And they come in like bigger packs like this. And there's some for, again, for Massive Darkness 1 and some for Massive Darkness 2, which have different designs on them as well. So there's just some other different 3D elements you could add into your game just to maybe kind of make them stand out or do stuff a little bit more. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at some plastic tokens, which are just, they kind of enhance the game a little bit, but they're not going to break anything. So I'm just going to pause to reset the table. Alright, so here's a setup for Classic or First Edition Zombicide. So we have some different tokens on the board. We have some spawn points. I have a green one. We'll move this guy over here so you can see him. I have a red one over here. A little bit of a glare. We have a couple of doors, some noise tokens, exit tokens, some X's to find. We have some zombies. We're being attacked by Santas. Santa Clauses are attacking us. We have 2 of our different survivors from one of the guest starters pack, which are the ones I grabbed. So you can see again, like kind of just showing in the previous part with the Invader, you can see the tokens now. I have a lot more different ones on the board. Now they did make more 3D tokens like this also for Invader. I just don't have any, so I can't show them off. So I'm showing them off for this one. But now if we start replacing, so what they do is they did make 3D token packs, or well, plastic I guess is what they're called. The only downside to these token packs is they don't necessarily, especially for the earlier ones, the newer games are now tending to make them for all of them, like when the Kickstarter comes out. So like White Death came out for Zombicide Fantasy. They have a token pack. You can get all the tokens that represent that game. And they go like their newer games like Marvel and stuff like that. But sometimes when an expansion comes out separate, like for 2nd edition, Rio Z Generaros came out, and it has some tokens there. There's currently no 3D or plastic tokens. And some of the other ones like this, like Fantasy, and some of these like Rumor and Prison Outbreak for this, didn't necessarily, they may have during the Kickstarter, I'm not for sure, but like, just saying, sometimes the expansions don't always also have plastic tokens. So if you start switching them over, you might not have them for all of them. But if we do put these next to each other, you just kind of see the difference. They're about the same thickness. Get to the cardboard ones are a little bit thicker. Artwork is pretty much the same. They just kind of reversed it. They actually lose a little bit of detail versus some of the little extra detail they have on there. They're double-sided though. So you can flip them over. But the thing is, they're going to be more durable. Like, I'm not going to try and obviously break these, but I could probably snap this one in half very easily. This would take a little bit more work. Plus, the edges on cardboard do start to get frayed after a while. So I don't think, now, are these necessary? No, not at all. Especially these, because I think, like, the tokens are going to probably hold up fairly well. But you can kind of see even just because they're tokens, they do get kind of wore out a bit. I don't think they're necessarily any easier or harder to grab. Like there's a green X instead of a yellow one. There's our exit token. It's kind of interesting that they reversed all the colors on everything. I like to throw our noise tokens out there as well. So that's all the different tokens. There's a bunch for those spawn points, the X objective tokens, the exits, the noise tokens to match the core Zombicide Classic or Season 1 or First Edition game. But they don't have anything for the doors. They don't have the 3D doors. Again, they may have came in a separate pack, but I don't have them, so I can't do this. The other type of tokens they have are for the player board. So we'll look at that in just a moment. The other thing I did want to show off is we just talked about them doors. So I could always come over here and replace all these with specialized doors. And the purple one's been knocked down. So we could do that. And we could do that. Now again, these don't necessarily fit. They look like a little bit more sci-fi doors. So they don't always directly fit in with the theme. But you can see where the doors are. Now you can quickly tell, oh, the purple doors are going to open. We know we can enter. We know that the zombies are going to try and get through that. Versus this guy, he's going to have to try and either break down this door or he's going to have to go all the way around. So they're kind of nice to pick them up. I just wanted to show those off quick. Alright, then the other thing we wanted to show off that came in the upgrade kit. So if we have a character card, I'm sorry for that glare. I had terrible glare on my part of the table here. Let me see if I can adjust my camera. So here we have Peach. She's one of our 2 survivors. So this is the board, the player board for Zombicide Classic, as I'm going to keep trying to call it. I do have a token here for a Rotten token, and there's first player tokens. These did not come in the plastic upgrade pack. So these are introduced later in a set, or they just didn't have them for whatever reason. Most of the tiles and tokens I have came from map packs because I don't actually own Zombicide Core because the original one's hard to find. But you see, you have your little plastic token to keep track of your adrenaline level. But then they gave these little yellow ones to keep track of your abilities you learned. So now the plastic ones can get swapped in instead if you would like. I have just little plastic ones. Again, they're not about the same size. I don't think they're any easier or harder to pick up. Just you're not gonna damage the plastic tokens by digging your fingers into them. That's the big difference. The other upgrade I did want to talk about for even if you want to play Classic is if you pick up 2nd edition and you like to play Classic, you like the Classic characters, go ahead and use them. Is in 2nd edition they did upgrade to new boards. So there's the difference between our 2 survivors. I should have got her Zombicide out. Just flip her over to that way. Now I got these sleeves so they don't fit in there 100% right anymore. If they weren't sleeved, this would slide in there very nicely. So if I pop this out, they actually slide right in there. They didn't accommodate them 100% to be sleeved. But again, you don't really probably need to sleeve these guys. Maybe like the mini cards you want to because you're going to be picking them up, holding them. These guys you pretty much lay down. I just like to have all my stuff sleeved. But the 2nd edition boards, which I started going with even Black Plague and so on, are a lot nicer upgrade because it keeps track of all my abilities on one side, my health on the other. Here, there's nothing to keep track of health, but that's because they had wound cards. In the original one, you had wounds you would get instead, which is a neat idea. You can always keep that somehow too if you wanted to do it that way. They have a nice little counter down here, and this is attached to the board, so you don't have to worry about it sliding off if I move my board. Oh, I moved my board and this popped off. Now I gotta remember what number I'm on. Plus, again, someone shakes the table. You know, obviously if you have blue and yellow are easy enough to remember, but you start getting over here, you know, and someone shakes the table, then you have to try and remember what ability you selected. Whereas here, I have max range instead of +1. So it's kind of nice there. They do have the upgrade cards for, you can buy little upgrade boxes about, I think like $15, $20. That gives you 2nd edition versions of every single, and I have done a video for this, for every single retail version of Classic Zombicide. So it's all the big base games. It's Core Zombicide, Rumor, Prison Outbreak, Toxic City Mall, Angry Neighbors, the five main expansions, plus all the other, lots of the box of zombies, the special guests. The only thing it doesn't have in there are the Kickstarter exclusive characters. So if you're picking up them, some of the little ones are little tiny single boxes with just one character that doesn't have a board. They won't work for that. The only way to get upgraded cards for them is in the Kickstarter for 2nd edition. The reboot box has a bigger pack that has all of them from every single character. But even still, I mean, so if you're just trying to, like, if you have a lot of the old stuff and you didn't buy all of 2nd edition, or you don't want to buy that reboot box, you can at least use this to upgrade. It's like, I think the difference is like 70 characters versus 124. So there's only like 30 or 40 characters, something like that. 40 characters are Kickstarter exclusives. There's a lot of other content you can play. The other nice thing about these boards is, so in here, let's say I have my Compound V, and I'm using second edition cards because they're the ones I have, in reserve, but she's using her scythe. So, I get for the base design how they came up with this. I understood this. Your cards actually have a clicker on top, but they're hard to kind of see, or if you want to switch around, you gotta stop and start picking up everything. Second edition is so much easier for that. So there's my reserve backpack, my 3 cards in the back. I can move them around if I want to reorder them in different ways. Plus, I have my hand over here, so I can just slide this off, or I can have it in the other hand if I would like. It makes it easy to tell which cards are equipped in your hand, and then what cards are in your backpack. Plus, you can read what's in your backpack all the time, so you always know what's in there. Or if I have, I have my scythe in my backpack, I can easily see what its ability is, versus if for some reason it was like this, I wouldn't always be able to see what's on the card. So I can definitely also see upgrading. You can always sometimes, if you just want these in the cards and you don't want to pick up a full base game, they might be able to find a like 7th player pack, or a 5-6 player pack it might be. They usually have like 2 extra boards. Might not be as cheap as just picking up a full box. I think some of the campaigns also come with some extras, so you can always pick up even just one of the other campaigns. Get you more minis, get you more maps, all that fun stuff as well. So that is what we have for upgrades for Classic. So we have one more little upgrade. We're going to look over the Black Plague stuff. So we're going to reset the table again. One moment. Alright, so here we have a setup for Zombicide, Black Plague, Green Horde, the fantasy setting. Just tiles are from one of the expansions. So we have a bunch of different stuff on there. We have, 2 different vaults. We have a purple one, and we have a yellow one. We'll open up the yellow one. We have some objective tokens. We have some noise tokens. We have Thunder Attacks. We have Panthro and Lionel fighting off against Iron Maiden, Wicker Eddie, as well as you have Necromancer, Mumra. So there's some other different characters, but we have the regular spawn point of a red. We have a Necromancer one that's brown, Dragon Bile token, and an exit token. So we have a bunch of all the different tokens. So now you can get one of these plastic tiles in here. This is what they come, and this is what they look like. The classic ones also look like this as well. I think the newer ones, they started putting them in boxes versus big giant displays like this. But yeah, I didn't show my other ones because they're already popped all the way out. And I have an extra one of these, so if I can show that off. But yeah, like the tokens, much like the ones we just saw for first edition, are just going to be plastic upgrades. Again, same thickness. Artwork is, it's a little bit reversed on there a little bit, so I don't know if it helps make it stand out a little bit more with having more of the black than the color sticking out. Like, I think this side looks a little bit maybe more stand out than that. And if you look at these 2 on the board, yeah, I know which one's going to stand out better because you're on this nice white tile. And there's like the 2 red and black ones next to each other. But yeah, this is going to help protect them. The Dragon Bile, they actually get a little bit of depth on these. So you can kind of see that. They stand out a little bit. Now this one does look a little bit nicer because it just looks a little bit more standout art. If we flip it over, we have our flames. So I think the artwork makes some of these stickered ones pop out a little bit more. You do get 4 of these dragon tiles. And then 2 of them are going to have the flames, and 2 are going to have the magic portals, which, per rules, the magic portals and flames don't do absolutely anything. Use them for your own campaign modes, because you set the flame on fire, you can flip it over, and then it kills them, and then it goes away anyhow. Although, I do like, I've been reading a lot of people do a house rule where it at least stays till the end of the turn for the zombies fight, but then there's the back and forth on should zombies go around it or should they walk through it. And it's some interesting stuff. I'm not going to go any more into it right now. But yeah, then we have different necromancer tiles for all the different colors. On the back, the regular spawns. We have a stack of spawns, which of course have some of the other colors as well. But I think at the time when this came out, there was still only the 2 colors. So I don't know if they released an upgraded one with more colors. That could be the one downside to picking this up, is if the later expansions have a lot more colors. So I have my regular tokens here. Do I have more? I think I just have those 2 for this set, because I have all the base games for this. Yeah, so it's like just the 2 different colors. But yeah, then we have all our objective tokens. We have a ton of red ones. We have a blue and green one with red on the back, of course. We have all of our noise tokens, which do look actually kind of nice next to the other ones. I mean, they definitely look good. Nothing wrong. The quality is always awesome. They do have a little bit of a standout on them. I mean, if you can pick the plastic tokens up for cheap, they're nice little upgrades, but they're not definitely by any means necessary. Even our little latches, they get hatches, they get a little 3D element on them, so it looks like they're sticking up, or they made that so it looks like it's actually going down, which is really cool. Yeah, it just makes it a little bit aesthetic, a little bit nicer. I think, and you won't have to also worry about your stuff wearing out. Exit token, backsides of the flag tokens, if you want to have a flag. I think, yeah, then this had the flag and exit as well. I just knocked all of my tokens over. The other things we're going to get, and we'll get 4 tiles here for these, 2 for each color, just to help cover lots of different games. You get a ton of noise tokens. You're also going to get tokens to replace your 3 other different ones. So Rotten and Born Leader will each get their own little extra token as well. So that way you have those if you have characters that give out those abilities. This is probably the coolest one, though. The first player token now becomes an actual, this is a metal coin. So that's definitely cool as well. So instead of having a little zombie head, now we have a full pirate-looking skull medallion or gold coin. Which is actually different on both sides, which is really cool. So that's kind of a neat thing to pick up. Plus, I like the fact that it's bigger than a regular token. If you're going to have a first player token, make it something chunky. Help stand out. So the last thing that this token set came with were 10 broken walls. Now, these are for the Abomination pack. They have the Abominator. I mean, it might be the Abominator. So he can break through walls. So the idea is that you can put these 3D tokens down so you can tell what walls he's ran through. So yeah, these have no bearing outside of, I think, that one miniature, unless there's maybe some, again, other online scenarios or custom scenarios that use them, but you will get 10 of them. You can definitely use them for other reasons as well. You know, if you want to have your own thing, like, hey, we're going to have some broken walls so our heroes can just walk through walls without having to have openings, you could definitely do that as well if you didn't want to have doors. And then speaking of doors, I'm just going to throw one of these out. So we did have the fantasy door as well, or the sci-fi door. Let me throw it on this side, maybe a little bit brighter. So yes, you could use those in there as well, that one from Invader. Or if you picked up the Massive Darkness one, again, a little bit more fantasy setting. They kind of fit in, I think, thematically. Maybe not necessarily the skull one, but they do have the 2 different and ornate ones that would work. And then they do open up, so you could tell if your door was open or not. And this game, I don't think there's doors that open and close like some of these other games. But you could tell if it's open, it means anyone can go through. It's just broken, and then it's closed, and you don't have to try and look at the token quick to tell which direction it is. Alright, so that's what we have for upgrades for right now. The last thing I want to show is some of my storage. Now, this is my personal way I store my Zombicide games. I am still currently playing around with how I do it, but we'll take a look and I'll kind of show you what I do. So let me reset everything. Alright, so these are my current storage solutions for Zombicide games. Not always final, I'm always looking for different ways to do different stuff. I utilize these different types of cases for a lot of my different board games and stuff, because I know some people, they just, I'll empty everything into one or two different core boxes. Which, hey, everyone does stuff their own different way. This is just, hey, me giving out extra ideas. So, I have one of these big cases here. This is a Sterilite ID latch box. It doesn't have to be an ID latch. But I picked these up at, like, Walmart and stuff, so they're fairly easy to get. But I have my boards in here. But this is, all of the tiles for 2nd edition. So this is Corset, Washington DC, Fort Hendricks, and Rio. So you can see this gets filled up pretty fast. The classic one's getting pretty full. Invaders, like most of them though, but like this still has a couple more to go. This is not with any of the duplicate tiles. I only have one copy of each tile in here. So, yeah, this is obviously some of these you might want to get duplicates of. You might need more than one bin if you do. But these work pretty well. And then, like I said, I can put my cases in there. So I go to set up the game. I can pull out whatever tiles I need for either campaign or if I'm creating my own mode. Pull these. I have my campaign booklets in here as well. And then I put all the instructions in here. Just that way I have all the game stuff I need in one box. I can pull these out what I need. Hey, we already know experienced players. We don't need the instruction books. We can leave them in there. Maybe some of the new stuff like The Boys or Iron Maiden or Batman. Some of them I might need to have the rules as a refresher. Usually keep like the core books available for the skills in case we don't remember what they all do. But yeah, that's one way I do that. It's also nice is because if you get multiples of these, or if you're like collecting all the Zombicides like I am, you can stack all these on top of each other. So I could have, 2nd edition, classic, fantasy, all sitting on top and they kind of lock together. You could put the tags on the side. If you want to, you could write what set this is. Currently right now I have everything sorted out like by game system on like one shelf per Zombicide, so I don't really worry about labeling these that much, but I probably will in the future. So that's what I do for that. Alright, let me set that down out of the way. The next thing is I pick up these storage cases. These are just called storage cases. I pick these up at like Hobby Lobby, like a crafting store. So they might have something similar to your store. I've went through several different ways to store tokens. Tokens are always a pain to store. I used to use fishing lure cases because it's like, they have all the little dividers. You can make them bigger. The problem with those was when you like to pull tokens out, sometimes they get stuck or the little pieces separate and would split apart, like pull up. And then tokens would either mix together or slide apart, or it's hard to get like the last couple of tokens out. So I went away with that. I started buying little plastic cases. I see some people do. You can store them in your boxes. Those are fine as well. But now I feel like then when you go to play the game, I have to pull out, 5, 6, 10 different little plastic cases for all the different tokens. Take all the lids off and I have to figure out where to put all the lids. So this was my solution I found, and I think it works fairly well. So these trays are really nice because they have 3 different styles of these. They have this which is I'll call it double decker, I guess. It has 2 different spots. First of all, is a top tray here, which for 2nd edition, I have all my character cards in here. Now, the issue I'm running into is you can already see this is starting to overflow, and I haven't even added the updated version cards for classic stuff. So once I start adding all of them, I'm going to have a couple in here from one pack, but once I start adding the rest, or if more sets come out, this will get very full. Plus I have like the Simon Comics one coming, and that. So I'll probably have to maybe get a 2nd storage case or do something different for these cards. But for the time being, it works. The other thing I like to use the top tray for are one-time gameplay stuff. So like we have our bases here. We have our pegs. You pull these out. Hey, we're playing purple, blue, and yellow. Pull out those 3 colors. Leave the rest of it in there. We have our dials. If you're using a campaign that uses these, pull these out. Kind of like I think we have all our cars in here. We have our couple of police cars, our Impala, our tanks. Yeah, so you can throw all these right in there. You just grab them out for the campaign, grab your character cards, grab your dice if you want your regular dice, or if you're going to use your all-out dice, or if you end up having, you know, like from older Zombicide games, you have their dice packs. You could use those as well. So like I'll probably don't probably need this many all-out dice in here, but that's what I have right now. But what I can do is then get everything out of there, be done with this. I can close this case back up. Then what I have in here, and this is what I love, is this is very customizable. So now this one isn't very full, but this is how the tray comes when you buy it. You get 1 big giant one, 1 purple one, tiny green one, and then 6 tiny pink ones, unless you get different colors. But you get the same thing. Big square, long rectangle, small rectangle, squares. But what's nice about this is I can pull some of these out. Like, I can obviously grab my tokens out to set stuff up for gameplay. I can pull the noise token out, though. I'm going to need these throughout the game. I can just set this now on my table. I can put all the rest of this case away, set it off to the side. But during game, I can even just start off. I can pull up my different ones here. I can pull this out, drop this back in. I need to find my doors. I can pull my doors out, find which doors I need, throw them back in there. You know, so on and so forth. Obviously, I don't have a lot of different tokens for 2nd edition yet, because I haven't made a ton, but I have my different broken walls there for Rio and stuff like that. But that's what I really like about this case. I'll show you what else you can do with this case. Just toss this back in here. And again, like the other ones, these are all stackable. So look, and stack that up there. It sits on there very nice. This is the fantasy case. So we did very much the similar thing with this. Except this one I grabbed one of the black ones. They do have full green ones as well that I've seen, so you can get different colors, but you can also mix and match. But here we have all our character cards in here. As you can see, this is actually getting pretty full too, but that's because I also have all of the Master of Darkness crossover, the Thunder Attack crossover, and when White Death comes out, this will probably get filled right up. And then again, I might have to think of a second solution. But see, they'll also fit on these sides as well. So if you want to put your dice and stuff somewhere else, you can do that. You know, put these in different other containers, your bases, your pegs, and all your different dice. And you can just use the top of your character cards, maybe sort them out by different groups. So it's actually kind of nice. It'll fit on either side. And if we pull this out, this is a lot more full. So as you can see, I just threw all of the extra plastic tokens we just looked at in here. Otherwise, this wouldn't be as full. But I can grab out my Dragon Bile. Things I can have this set aside if I want. I have my first player, have my different doors, have that. I have a big long one here, which I have all my hedges and spikies in there, my spike traps. I have one for all my spawn points right now, my zombies. Again, you can definitely customize how these are. The big one, which I wasn't using in 2nd edition, I have my my trebuchet and my catapult in there, as well as my vault tiles are on the bottom down there. Now this isn't final because I just kind of threw all the plastic tokens in there. If I'm going to switch to plastic, I'll probably take all the non-plastic ones out. But that's definitely a different thing. And then you can rearrange these, which is also nice. Because let's say, you know, you want to do that. You could do this. I could put these guys over here. You can rearrange and sort these out however you would like. So maybe you want to have, you know, something like that. And that's what also makes this fun. The other thing is, if you buy multiples of these different sets, you could even mix and match different things. Maybe you have, like, not even just for Zombicide, just another game. Maybe you have a game that has a lot more smaller ones. You don't need these big ones. And if you bought a second case, you could go ahead and swap that out. I could pull one of these out and I could put 4 more small ones in there, or 2 more of these. Or I could take these out and run 3 long ones. So you have different options. And that's what I also like about these cases. I currently actually have a bunch of big giant ones sitting over there. Those are the ones I use the least amount, because I don't have a lot of stuff in my games where I have, of all the games I use these for, where I have a lot of that big giant one where I need a big open space. So I do mix and matches. Now, I did say there were 3 different styles of these. I was trying to see if I had one of the other ones laying here, but I don't. Let me grab them quick. 1 sec. Alright, so here's another example of one of these cases in a good way. You might, and some of these might be better for your Zombicide, doing this versus something else. That's why I kind of like these different cases. But I have this currently for my Firefly board game. Now, this is the long, I call this the long one. So you can see it's the same height as the bottom. It just doesn't have the extra top tray. But it is a row wider. So you can get a total of 4 across versus 3 across of little squares. So this one worked nice for this because I didn't have that top tray really where I needed all that extra stuff spread out. Now, I could probably go ahead and move all this stuff into that one, into one of those, and I think I just have some extra space. But being that as of right now, there's not any more content coming out, this utilized enough space I had. I mean, I could obviously get some more smaller trays, but what's nice about this is, versus maybe more Zombicide, this is probably a better idea for some board games. I can pull each of these out and have them sitting aside at my game table. So we have these. I can leave them in the tray here and just have this tray off to the side. And someone's like, oh, I need some money. I can just go ahead and pull this out, hand it to them. Like, hey, here's your, well, this is fuel. But I could hand them no, this is money. Parts. This is parts. But I have dice in there. We have, like, cargo and luggage. I have the different tokens there. But you can hand these to someone else at the table versus having to hand a huge box over. So it's kind of a nice idea for that. Obviously, this, if you were following Firefly, you know, this is going to be useless once the Collector's Edition comes out and they replace this entire box. Now, the number of spots in here, or little trays, aren't necessarily what come in here. I've probably taken some out and redone some. So if you buy one of these, it might not have this. Now, this is a different brand. This is called Easy Sort It. But it's nice because they all use the exact same tubs, and they're all the same size. You can intermingle all these different ones together. Then the last kind is the short one. Now, this one only goes 2 deep, but it goes just as long as the rest of it. So you lose 1 space, but it doesn't have that top. This, again, might work for if you have games that have less components. I have this for my Darksiders board game. But this was a nice way for me to utilize one of the big open spaces. I have these big hex tiles, which are used in creation of the game. So when I'm done, I don't need to have those out. But now I have different points that I can then hand out during the thing. Now, personally, I might, again, want to expand this at some point because I have this one that has all these different tokens. Now, it's here or there because some of these aren't used constantly, but there's like 10 different tokens in here. So it's the thing, I guess, is do you want to have, 10 things with 2 different tokens, or do you want to have to dig through 1 or 2 of these? The same thing with something like this. There's a couple different size tokens in here. But even like this, is I could see myself splitting these up. I have 1s, 2s, and 3s. Is splitting these into like maybe multiples of those small ones. Maybe get one of the big cases, get a bunch of the small ones, sort them out. If I have the time. The only downside, realistically, to these cases is I have not been able to find a way to buy just the cubes by themselves. So if I want to rearrange these or do something different, I have to buy extra cases. Sometimes that can work out, sometimes it's not. I do have some of the extra ones because I've done something like this. So this is my dice case that I am currently using for the Justice System game for Power Rangers and G.I. Joe. So I have all my custom dice, different colors for each different Ranger or G.I. Joe. For that game, for the Power Rangers G.I. Joe Guardian System, I call it just Guardian System game. So I can pull these guys out. So if I want to play as my Orange Ranger, I can just pull up my orange dice. Now, all the dice work exactly the same for that game. So it's just an aesthetic thing. It's kind of like an upgrade for like the tokens. This is upgraded dice. And I only have them, like obviously I could just dump these all into one big giant bucket and just pull out what I want and dig for them. This kind of makes it a little bit easier to grab each one. So that's kind of neat. So it's a way that it worked for me to have an extra case to hold my dice. But I gotta take out all of the things from there and utilize them in other different sets. Alright, so then the last thing we want to show off is how I store my miniatures. I also buy these at the hobby store. I really like these. They come in a 3-pack like this. And they have these little trays in there. Now, this is again one of those things that is kind of a bummer the way these come. Because it comes with 3 stackable trays. They're all hooked together, but they only come with one of these bluish green trays in there. So to get multiples of these, you have to buy many of these and then have some that don't have any. So like here I have all of my 2nd edition characters. I can fit about 6 guys, 5 to 6 guys in each spot. A couple more in the bigger ones. It's just that way they're kind of like, they have so much pokey out bits, it kind of helps them from bumping into each other. I did end up putting some extra ones down in here. I think these are like some of the companions and stuff. Have sleeves, obviously, so I have to finish sleeving my Rio stuff. But then this is also nice because I have all my cards in here. So like, here's all my equipment. I have red equipment over here. I have zombie spawn cards. Oh, I'm sorry. This is not spawn cards. These are all more equipment. This is the government and the presidential cards. So it's kind of neat because I have all my different cards sorted in there so I can pull them out as I need them for each set. And then the bottom one, I have currently, I just have all of my campaign cards, which I don't have. I'll probably, with the way I am, I'll probably take these out at some point, sleeve them, and put them in like a card box. But for now, it works just to have them in here, so I know which, so I can just find them quickly. All right, so we're gonna snap those back together, snap these, and then we can throw the lid back on. And that's why I also like these, because they're customizable for size. I can do 3 tall, I can do 6 tall. I wouldn't go too many tall if you have too much heavy stuff like the cards. Miniatures aren't too bad once you start putting the cards in their way, but I like that they have the handle so you can drag them around. So here's another one of those totes. This is where I have zombies. So I eventually would like to have all the zombies in stuff like this where they're nice and sorted out. Because these guys, Zombicides, have a little bit finer thing. But there's my walkers. I have my runners separated from my brutes. And that way I can, although they're different shades of color, I can usually tell what's what and grab them. And then the bottom one, I have my spawn decks, my abomination deck. I have all my soldiers, which I have way too many soldiers. And I have a bunch of my abominations in here. Although some of the bigger ones, especially if you're getting into like the fantasy one or Undead or Alive, the Western one, they had some really big ones. You have to find a different case. Even if you take one of these trays out, they might not necessarily fit in there. You also have to watch the stuff's not sticking up over the top. And then always make sure you relatch these before you do that. I'm going to show you one other thing I do with these cases. Alright, so I utilize these cases for pretty much most of my games. I have miniatures. I have my most of my Massive Darkness, and I'm still working on transitioning a lot of them. But I also use these for my Power Ranger and G.I. Joe miniatures. But because those guys are a little bit heftier in size, so that's actually kind of neat. I just realized it. This has a lid on it. And I just snapped that right here. It's actually just sitting there separate. What I do is I use this for my Power Rangers and my G.I. Joes. Because these guys are bigger than Zombicide. So if I compare one of them, they have quite a bigger size to them. They're a little bit bigger, so like they might have guns or hands, or like Lady J here has a spear sticking out. I'm not as worried about them guys getting bent or damaged as much as I am the Zombicide, so I don't worry about putting them in the little dividers. I'm also not, just to mention, I'm not taking these around to travel. I'm not putting these in here as for traveling to different places. If I was going to take this game somewhere to play with somebody else, I might leave them in these as well. But like if I was going to be doing a lot of traveling, I'm going to convention and stuff like that, I would probably find a better secure thing. These are just because I'm going to pick them up off my shelf, put them on my table to find my characters. But because, again, these guys are bigger, I can kind of let them float around here. Sometimes you get a taller person here that won't fit in there, her sword sticking over. So I do have to lay some of them down. Just get some of these bigger guys that are a little bit, just a tad bit too tall for the case. It's not a bad idea. But what happens is, again, I said when you buy these cases, they come in stacks of 3 with one of those blue trays. So every time I buy one of these, I can take one of those trays out. I can use it for one of my Zombicide. So, like, this here would have been... So this set of 3 and this set of 3 would have made this pair with 2 boxes and one with none. So it works for me because I have all these different ones. But if you want them extra trays in there, again, that's sort of the downside. I haven't found a way to buy them separately. So they kind of just become, see, I have a lot of my Zombicides I don't have in cases or in the little blue trays. The ones I don't tend to be like the zombies. They tend to be like the walkers or the runners, the guys that I have a lot of, or I might just grab and pick and pull out of there. And then I do kind of do some of the G.I. Joe stuff is I sort of separate them out. G.I. Joe and Power Ranger ones, like I have minion troopers in here. So these are like the walkers or zombie style characters, all the little spawn guys. I just kind of toss all them in one of these small boxes together. So I can just, I'm playing with this group. I can just bring this box over. Unsnap it, bring this box to the table. It's ready to go. I can grab them as I need them. I'm playing with, these particular, 2 villains. I can pull them out, put them on my table, put the rest of this box somewhere else, put it on the floor, put it back on the shelf. And I don't have to then have all these trays and cases sitting out at my table. Again, even with my storage like this, I can just pull out what I need to set up the game. If I only need of my small, like for Zombicide, my small, I only need the noise tokens because everything else is going to be on the board and I'm not going to be adding more and more stuff. I can just grab the noise token tray, have that on the table, put all the rest of it away. I can pull out my cards, put them in my new card holders, put all the rest of the stuff away. I don't have to have all this stuff sitting out on my table, getting in everybody's way, sitting on the floor and everyone's feet. Plus, if I have people come over, I usually tend to set the games up in advance anyhow. So I can have all that cleaned up, ready to go, everything set up. There's minimal amount of things. We've seen something like the Darksiders where you had all the different token trays you might want to use, or Firefly. Again, you could leave that case up there, or you could pull each different tray and just have them sitting there. Then you don't have that big case there. So these are definitely some cool different ways I like to store stuff. If I have games, I have seen Darksiders, that too, but Massive Darkness, I have different storage solutions for some of the other cards and miniatures because they're different sizes. But lots of times, I just do like card boxes for stuff that are standard card size. Like all the Power Rangers are just in a card box. Yeah, if you guys are interested in the storage stuff, I can always maybe do an updated video of some of the other games and how I store some of that stuff. But I just thought I'd kind of show this off as long as we're showing Zombicide upgrades of kind of what I do to store my Zombicide cards. Alright, that's what I got for this video. See you guys later. Bye.